Mic check 1 2. It's the Y2K collector, and I recently found a couple of items that I'm going to be reselling. Found them at a good deal, and so I'm going to be putting them back onto the market, and I'll kind of go over some of those pickups with you here in a minute. But before I do, I wanted to talk real quick about what will happen. Well, you know what? Let me show you the pickups first, and then afterwards, we'll talk about what I think will happen to the retro gaming market once more resellers quit reselling. So, first pickup that I was able to find was this Legend of Zelda Wii U gamepad. It looks like it's a Zelda gamepad. Works, all the buttons are good. It actually is in really good condition. I was able to pick this up for 39 bucks at the thrift store, and when I looked online, I'm seeing prices for this range anywhere between $90 and $140. So I'm gonna say that it's a safe bet that this will probably land somewhere between 99 and 120. So that's the window that I'm giving myself for this. In any case, should be able to more than recoup what I spent on this one. I already have a Wii U, and I'm not really into like the special edition like consoles and gamepads and things like that. So this will definitely be a flip. So I'm gonna be, flipping this here. And then one of the other things that I found at the thrift store was, and I haven't found one of these in a long time, and it's funny because I was just talking about this, but they had a PlayStation 3. Now this PlayStation 3, it was pretty, and I'm gonna see if I can unwrap this cord for you guys so you guys can get a better look at this controller here. Let me see if I can get it in. All right. So the thing with this controller here is that they actually had a pretty good console and a pretty good controller, but it was really, really dirty, both the console and the controller. So I took this home and I actually had to wipe this down. I think it could really use another pass. I am gonna have to do a little bit more cleaning with this controller, but as you can see, there's still a little bit more grime in there. I got rid of most of the grime down here. It looks like I just missed a spot up here. There was a ton of like brown, there's a YouTuber, he calls it man juice, but there was a ton of like brown man juice here in the crevices. There's still a little bit in there that you can see, but I think I did a decent job of getting rid of a good chunk of it. I just have to get a toothbrush now and brush out the remainder of what's there. Also from what was in the trigger buttons there, but the controller, I actually got it into presentable condition. It's still gonna need some more of a rub down or wipe down, but this is actually a pretty good controller. It's in great working condition. I tested out. All the buttons feel good. Nothing feels like overpressed or overplayed. Nothing sticking. So this is actually in pretty good condition. And then as for the console itself, the console was in really good condition. This is a 160 gigabyte PlayStation 3, I want to say. So this was actually in pretty decent condition. As you can see, not a ton of scratches on here. The case isn't cracking or anything like that. When I plugged it in, the cool thing is that when I plugged this in to make sure that it was working, it looks like whoever owned this was an avid user of the PlayStation Store. And there were a ton of PlayStation 1 games on here. They had Chrono Trigger on here. They had some PS2 games on here. So it was a interesting library that was left on this PS3. But the whack part about this is that when I went to go ahead and try and play the Castlevania Symphony of the Night that was on here, it told me that I needed to connect to the PlayStation Network first. So that's a little bit scary for people who have downloaded games, because you got to think, if you download a bunch of games, you paid for a bunch of PlayStation 1 games, and you can't connect to the PlayStation Network, what does that mean for your ability to actually play those games? Now, I don't have that issue with my Vita. When I go to play games on my Vita, like my PlayStation 1 downloaded games, it's not asking me to connect to the PlayStation Network to play those games that I've downloaded. And I have like Herc's Adventure on there. I have Gaia Seed on there, Klonoa on there. So I have a few PlayStation 1 games on my PS Vita, but it never asked me to connect to the network to play them. I wonder why it's asking, or I wonder why it asked me to connect to the PlayStation Network before it would allow me to play the games. If any one of you in the comments know why, please feel free to let me know. I'd be interested to know why it was prompting that. But yeah, I plan on putting the PS3, the controller. I do have all the hookups and the HDMI cable, and then I have that arcade, basically that arcade joystick that I showed you guys in one of my prior videos. I'm gonna bundle all of that up for sale. I'll probably take it with me to a trade event. So someone may luck out and get a really good condition PS3. So congrats to them on that. But that just kind of takes me to the next thing where, what will happen with retro game prices once resellers quit reselling? I don't consider myself a reseller, but if I do find something that I can flip, I'm going to flip it, and I'm going to flip it shamelessly. I don't care. But what I'm noticing is when I go to a lot of like the stores that I normally frequent, I'm not seeing the mass number of resellers that I used to see. I'm seeing that they're just nowhere to be found. And I'm wondering if it's because they're getting out of the retro market because the retro market is tapped out, or if it's because there's just reselling fatigue in the retro video games market. And if there is, what will that do to prices? Will prices stabilize? Will we start to see prices go up because there's no more resellers online selling this stuff? Because if resellers aren't competing online, that competition between resellers is what helps to drive prices down so that collectors like myself can get better prices. But if a lot of them are exiting and one person or one group or one business becomes the main focal point for these retro games, that's where we could start to see prices start to creep up again. And I recently saw a video from Metal Jesus where he kind of talks about retro game prices from what he saw when he went to Portland Retro Gaming Expo. And, in a setting like that, because there's so much competition, you will be able to kind of get a better price. Even though a lot of the people that go to those conventions are like own actual game stores and stuff, they're not just like one-off resellers. If we start to see the one-off resellers leave the market, that could impact prices. And I'd be interested to know your thoughts on how you think it would impact prices. But yeah, I know that it's starting to get dry when I start to see more consoles than video games. And I'm not a huge console collector, but I'm really on the fence like with this PS3. It's got me considering whether or not I should keep this one and sell my fat PS3, even though I prefer the fat PlayStation 3 over the slim. I know there's a super slim, and I don't know how well the super slim performs. You guys can let me know that down in the comments. But it's interesting to see where the hobby goes based on the traction and the frequency that I'm seeing from resellers when it comes to them being out in the field hunting, and just even what I'm seeing with listings. But let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below, and I'll catch you in the next video. It's the Y2K Collector. Take it easy.